Hey guys, wanted to show you my new toy. This is a 1986 Yamaha Fazer. Bought this thing in October of 13. This is February of 14. 2 days after Snowmageddon in North Carolina. Um, Drove to Georgia to get this bike because I only made this thing for 2 years. Always really liked the look of this bike. It came out after I bought my last bike, which was one of the Yamaha FZ models, one of the crotch rockets back in the day. And I always lusted after these things. Now, granted, it has a styling that you either like or you don't like, and I always did. Um, Decided I wanted to start riding again after about 20 years, so I tracked one down. Had to go to Georgia to get it. Um, like I said, it's a 1986 model. It has a little less than 30,000 miles. Um, so it is 28 years old, but it has a few problems. It's been laid down in a slow speed, low side crash. Tore this up, broke the ball off the brake lever, uh, roughed up the foot peg, bent the brake pedal, and of course the obligatory exhaust road rash. But it still runs pretty good. It's very fast. It rides well. It is 28 years old. I am going to do some things to it. Today I'm going to seafoam the carbs and see if I can't get it idling good again. It runs good. It runs good on the choke. Once it gets warmed up, as long as you're out rolling, it runs good. But the moment you stop, it'll die. It'll start spitting and sputtering and die after about 10 or 15 seconds. So I'm trying to avoid taking the carbs off and taking them apart, which I may still have to. But we're going to try some seafoam today and see what happens with it. A little backstory on this bike. They only made it 2 years, or let me rephrase that. They only imported it into the United States for 2 years. Um, it was originally the nomenclature for Yamaha was FZX700. In the rest of the world, it actually had a 750 motor on it. In the United States, it only had a 700 that took off the FZ700. Because there was a higher import tax on 750 cc's and up. The nickname for this bike was called the Baby VMAX, or the Baby V, and it sort of got similar styling with the little chrome fake air scoops here. What happened was the VMAX came out in 83, 84, 85, something like that. Yamaha dealers told Yamaha that if they could get a smaller version of the VMAX, they wouldn't be able to keep it on the floor if they sold it at a good price point. So they tried a smaller V4 similar to what's on the VMAX and couldn't get it to work like they wanted or do it in a economical manner. So they just dropped another engine off a bike they were already using, which was the Genesis 5. Great motor, by the way. And this is what they came up with. Problem was they only imported it 2 years because the price point was too high. I think this bike sold for like $4,200, $4,400 in like 1986 and 87. The only difference between the 86 and 87 models was all of this chrome here was black on the 87 models. The aluminum pieces such as this were black on the 87 models. I think that was the only difference. This front shield did not come stock. It was on it from the previous owner or the previous owner before that. I bought it, rode it a few times before it got too cold, and it does do well to keep the wind off of me, but I will be taking it off for warmer weather riding because I like the look without it. A little about the Genesis 5 motor. It's 5 valves, 3 intake, 2 exhaust. What they've done, if you can see this motor, this thing's tilted like 45 degrees forward. And the first time I saw this motor on the 700, the only thing I could think of was that they were taking a cue from what Dodge did back in the late 60s and the 70s with their slant 6. The key is that this motor is nothing but an air pump. So the quicker you can get the air in and out, the more you can pump into it, and the faster you get it in and out, the more power you make. So what they did is they tilted this thing 45 degrees, and this pretty much, this line here, straight through, pretty much denotes the actual airflow through the motor. So you can see it does very little turning inside the motor, left, right, up, down, whatever, to get through the motor. So that was unique for the day. Of course, they've come up with better ideas and better mouse traps since then. But that was really unique during the day, and it really made a lot of power, and it still does. This bike, even though it's 28 years old, is extremely, extremely quick. If I remember right, in 86 and 87 when this bike came out, most of the motorcycle magazines deemed it one of the fastest bikes under 1,000 cc, both years running. Um, didn't lend anything to the styling, so to speak. That didn't help it out, but it was the actual layout and the way they did it. And what they did different, even though they took the motor off the FZ700, I believe, and put it in this bike, was to make it a little different. Was they took one tooth off of the front sprocket and added one tooth to the rear sprocket to change the mid-range pull on this thing. And I think that's where all of that came from. But this bike is scary fast. And I'm really going to enjoy riding it once the weather breaks. We're supposed to be having some good weather in the next week or two, so I'm taking this cold Saturday in February, the day after Valentine's Day, and see if I can't get this thing running good so I'll have it ready to ride. As I progress and change things and fix things and get it running better, I'll post a few more videos. So they don't have many of these around anymore, so I hope you like it. Feel free to comment. Any questions? Also, if anybody knows where I can get an exhaust for this thing, please don't hesitate to let me know. And I know I do not want a 4-into-1 Kreger or Krecker, or however how you want to pronounce that. I hate the look of that on this bike. I like the 4-into-2. So feel free to comment. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you keep up with me as we work on this bike, and we'll talk to you later.